Hi and welcome back. Now in this lesson, if you want to call it a lesson, we're going to download and install MySQL Server and MySQL Workbench. So MySQL Server is the bit that does all the heavy lifting. That actually is your server running on your machine. And the Workbench is it's called an IDE, Integrated Development Environment. And that's the bit where we do our actual coding to communicate with the database server. Okay, so you can install MySQL on Windows, on a Mac or on a Linux machine, no problem. What I'm going to run through now is the Windows installation because I've got a Windows machine. If you've got a Mac or a Linux, then it's very similar. It's a very similar process. So just take the alternative options. If you need to look it up and get some guidance, there are loads of YouTube videos which will talk you through that installation. But this is for the Windows install and setup. Okay, so let's start by opening up Google and going to type in MySQL download. Okay, so click on that and the first option is this www.mysql.com, which is a great website, and that's where we're going to download it from. So click on MySQL Downloads, and that takes you into the website where you can scroll down and find this MySQL Community Downloads. Okay, give that a click, and what you want is the MySQL installer for Windows. Now, once you're in there, you've got your option there for operating system. We're going to choose Windows. So we're going to click on, well, the version there is version 8.0.29. Just pick the latest version. I did this some time ago. So the new latest version will be something larger numbers than that. But we're going to do that, the latest version, and we're going to click on that download button there. And that is going to take us to this option. Unless you have a login or want to log in, just click no thanks, just start my download. And that will download the installer. So that only takes a few moments. And when you open up the folder and double click on that, and that will start the installer. Okay, so you've got several options here. Developer default, server only, client only, full or custom. So we're going to click on custom and click on next. So now you get to choose what actual elements you want to install. So open up MySQL Server and MySQL Server, and we're just going to pick the latest version. So for me, it's 8, and then within that folder, you've got all the different versions, subversions of 8. So just pick the highest one, the latest version, and then click on the green button to drag it across to the products to be installed pane. Okay, so now you can minimize that, and the next thing is under applications, we're going to install MySQL Workbench. So expand that and expand it again, and again the latest version, the highest numbers. Click on the green arrow and back to applications, and then it's MySQL Shell. So same process, subfolder of that, latest version. So the 3 elements you want are MySQL Server, Workbench, and Shell. So click on Next, and then so now it's going to just check that you've got this Microsoft Visual C++ element already installed. So if you haven't, then when you execute it, it will bring up this Visual C++ window. It's just a thing that runs in the background that is needed to run MySQL on. So install, and that was going to take a few moments to run, and then close. And now it runs through the other parts and it's all done. So click on next, and then it's ready to download. So make sure they're all highlighted and then click on execute. Okay, so it'll take a few moments to download those. Okay, and then click on next, and then it's ready to install. So again, just make sure all three say ready to install, click execute, and that's going to take a minute or so. So I'll just fast forward this bit here. Okay, when they're all complete, click on next, and it says it's ready to configure. Okay, so now we're going to do some settings, click on next. And so what we're going to do with these, we're going to leave them all as they are. Okay, leave that as development computer, port 3306, all that, just leave it with those default values. And then next, and again, leave that with the default selection, which is that use strong password encryption. And click on next. And here we set a password. So there is a root password, which is kind of like your admin supervisor password. So you'll need to have that. So enter a password and make sure you save it or make a note of it, because trying to recover this password can be difficult. You may need to you need to uninstall it and reinstall it if you lose your password. So create a password, repeat it, and then make a note of it. Now you can also add user passwords. So if you're the only person using this, you won't need to do that. But if this was a server for several people to use, you could set each user up as their own user. But that root password is the kind of admin to manage all that process. So click on next, leave those values as they are, and again next. And this is the bit that'll take a few minutes whilst it just applies all those config settings. So execute and then just wait for a few minutes. Again, I'll just fast forward this bit so you're not sitting here watching my screen. Okay, so that's all done. So click on finish and then next, and then you can just click finish. It's just a confirmation that it's all done. So when you click finish, it will start up Workbench and the shell. Now you probably won't use the shell, but you can access the database via that command window. We won't be. We'll use this thing called MySQL Workbench. So you can minimize that shell, and if you just click on the grey box there, that will log you in using that root password. Okay, so you need to enter that password and type it properly. And then click on the Save Password in Vault option. So then when you click OK, that saves your password, so you don't need to enter it every time. So this is the environment that we'll be doing all our work. So this is MySQL Workbench, and we'll get to know this very well over the coming lessons. So that is it. That's how you install MySQL Server and Workbench. And in the next lesson, we will create some databases for us to work on. So until then, stay safe and keep turning up. Bye bye.